Welcome to Supplements Demystified. In today's video we will be talking about creatine. We will be going over its physical and mental benefits as well as how much and when to take it for best results. Creatine can be described as a miracle supplement. It has significant performance-enhancing and health-protecting effects and is one of the most researched and trusted supplements on the market. It is one of those supplements so effective that it's often surrounded by misinformation. It is often mistaken for a drug or a steroid. It is believed to cause kidney damage and the general population tends to think it is only for bodybuilders and hardcore athletes. In fact, people with the lowest likelihood of taking creatine can get the greatest benefits. The elderly, vegans, vegetarians, and those suffering from depression or traumatic brain injury can all benefit from supplemental creatine. Creatine is synthesized from the amino acids arginine and glycine. It is used as an energy reserve by the body to fuel intense bouts of exercise and increases power production during movements requiring strong muscular contraction. Creatine actually increases energy levels in muscles by increasing phosphocreatine. This causes a greater production of ATP, which is the energy currency of all cells. ATP is what you really need to get your muscles to contract, so that you can lift a heavier weight or sprint faster. A study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research gave 16 collegiate football players 5 grams of creatine per day for 10 weeks and put them on a supervised resistance training program. The creatine supplementation group was able to increase strength, power, as well as gain body mass. Since there was no change in percent body fat, the gains in body mass were attributed to positive alterations in lean tissue. There were no significant changes to the strength and power of the placebo participants. Creatine supplementation will increase an athlete's ability to perform repeated muscle actions or bouts of high-intensity exercise. It will also lessen recovery time between intense exercises. Creatine supplementation has especially been shown to boost performance and metabolic rate during activities like repeated sprints. A study in the Journal of Sports and Exercise selected 19 experienced male handball players and gave them 5 grams of creatine for 5 days. The players went through a rigorous protocol which tested maximal strength and muscle power output, repeated sprint runs, and endurance running. Creatine supplementation significantly increased body mass, number of repetitions performed to fatigue, and total average power output. In the repeated sprint runs, players moved faster in the first 5 meters, however the endurance run didn't show anything impressive. Regardless, the players given creatine showed much better athleticism and recovery compared to the placebo group. Both men and women reach their peak strength and muscle power between 20 and 35. They then tend to remain relatively stable, with minor decreases over the next 20 to 30 years. However, they begin to decline significantly in their 60s, which can negatively impact daily activities. Decreased muscle mass, or sarcopenia, has been suggested as the primary reason for reduction of force and power. As strength is lost, so are the abilities to perform everyday activities, such as climbing stairs, standing from a stool, or moving to avoid injury. This progressive decline in daily function can cause impaired mobility, more falls, and at worst disability and death. A study in the European Journal of Applied Physiology selected 30 women between the ages of 58 and 71, and gave them creatine daily for 7 days at a dosage that was proportional to their body weight. The results were simply remarkable. Even without any strength training, the women experienced increases in strength, power, and lower body functional performance. Testing also showed an increase in lean body mass. The placebo group did not show improvement at all. Bone loss is one of the greatest health risks that we face as we age. While weight training may be able to reduce bone density, older people rarely exercise enough to stop its decline. A reduction in bone minerals and bone strength increases the risk for fracture, which can easily lead to extended hospital stays and disability. A study in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging selected 29 men with an average age of 71 years and gave them creatine daily for 12 weeks, combined with physical exercise. Dual energy X-ray absorptiometry was used to determine bone mineral content and density before and after the study. The men taking creatine had a significantly higher bone mineral content than the placebo group. The increase in lean tissue mass in the arms was correlated with the changes in bone mineral density. Research suggests that the men's increased bone health may be due to their muscle gain. This is because the increased lean mass places more tension on the bone at the sites of muscle attachments. The brain is the second largest energy consumer in the body after the muscles. It occupies only 2% of our total body weight, but it consumes 20% of our daily calories since our neurons require a constant supply of ATP. Creatine is important for resynthesizing ATP, particularly during times of increased metabolic demand, and it only makes sense that adequate phosphocreatine stores in the brain would be crucial for cognitive health and performance. A study from 2003 published in Proceedings in Biological Sciences took 45 young adult vegetarians, gave them 5 grams of creatine daily for 6 weeks, and ran them through a battery of cognitive tests before and after. The subjects who took creatine had an improvement in both IQ, which was measured by a Raven's progressive matrices test, as well as working memory proven by a digit span test. A systematic review of randomized controlled trials on creatine supplementation was published in 2018. The results showed there was definite evidence that short-term memory and reasoning is improved by supplementing. Based on the data, vegetarians and aging individuals were getting the most benefit while young adults and meat eaters less so. There is also evidence that creatine might also help with recovery from traumatic brain injury. A study following 96 former NFL players demonstrated there was a relationship between greater exposure to repetitive head impacts and decreased brain creatine. The data suggests that restoring energy metabolism in the brain via supplementing can speed up recovery from TBI and prevent cognitive impairment later in life. There is mounting evidence that depression and low mood are linked to problems in brain energy metabolism. A study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry gave 52 women with major depressive disorder either 5 grams of creatine or a placebo for 8 weeks. All the participants were given the SSRI Lexapro, and the objective was to see if creatine would make a difference in treatment. The group receiving creatine saw marked improvements in depression scores in just 2 weeks, and the rate of improvement maintained for the entire study. The placebo group did not have the same positive changes, and at the end of the 8 weeks it could not match the scores of the participants supplementing with creatine. An animal study published in the Journal of Molecular Neurobiology suggests that creatine has similar effects in treating depression as the ones elicited by ketamine. The researchers induced depression in mice via corticosterone and then gave them either creatine, ketamine, or the SSRI fluoxetine. The results of the study showed a single administration of creatine and ketamine, but not fluoxetine, presented an antidepressant-like effect in mice. Researchers suggest creatine rapidly corrects energy metabolism in the brain, and stimulates growth pathways leading to the reversal of depressive symptoms. Another way that creatine boosts performance and builds muscle is through the increased conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. A little over 10% of the testosterone produced daily by an adult is converted to DHT, and while testosterone by itself builds muscle, strength, and endurance, DHT is much more potent. A study published in the Clinical Journal of Sports Medicine took 20 males from a rugby institute situated near Stellenbosch University in South Africa, and gave them creatine. The researchers hypothesized that the ratio of DHT to testosterone would change with creatine supplementation. The participants went through a loading phase of 25 grams of creatine with 25 grams of glucose for 7 days, and then a maintenance phase of 5 grams creatine and 25 grams glucose for 2 weeks. Throughout the entire study, there was no change in the players' testosterone levels. Nonetheless, DHT increased by 56% after 7 days of creatine loading, and remained 40% above baseline after 2 weeks maintenance. Researchers suggest that this increase in DHT is yet another mechanism through which creatine builds muscle and enhances physical performance. Creatine acts as a molecular powerhouse for immune cells, storing and dispersing energy to fight cancer. The Journal of Experimental Medicine published a study in mice that showed creatine uptake is crucial for the anti-tumor activities of killer cells. The study had mice genetically engineered so that their cells were deficient in a transporter controlling the uptake of creatine. They found that mice whose killer T cells could not take in creatine were less capable of suppressing tumors. Researchers also administered daily creatine to non-engineered mice via an injection or as an oral supplement. They found that the supplemental creatine was able to reduce the growth of both colon and skin cancers. The study results suggest that killer T cells really need creatine to fight cancer, and that the potential of creatine supplementation to improve T cell-based immunotherapies is very high. Creatine supplementation causes our muscles to permanently grow and get stronger when combined with weight training. A study from the Institute of Sports Medicine in Copenhagen took 41 male subjects ranging from 19 to 28 years old and gave them either creatine, protein, or a placebo. The participants were doing resistance training 3 times per week for 16 weeks, and at the end of the study had muscle biopsies taken. The group that was taking creatine had the greatest increase in the number of satellite muscle cells, and had accrued more myonuclei per muscle fiber faster than the protein group. The placebo group experienced close to no improvement. The results of the study demonstrated that creatine accelerated and amplified muscle adaptations from strength training. The muscle gains from creatine are also around to stay with us for a long time. Even if we stop weight training, the myonuclei in the muscle seem to be protected, which means that as soon as we start exercising again, muscle memory will quickly get us back to previous strength and size. Creatine has also been found to improve metabolic health. A study published in the Journal of Amino Acids gave 22 men around 10 grams of creatine daily for 11 weeks. The participants did aerobic training 3 days a week and had their glucose tolerance monitored via blood work. At the end of the study, data showed that the group taking creatine was able to utilize glucose much better than the placebo group, especially during exercise. Researchers claim this could have implications in the treatment of diabetes. A study in the Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise did a 12-week randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial on 25 diabetics taking creatine. The participants were given 5 grams of creatine daily and undertook aerobic and resistance training 3 times a week. At the end of the study, the diabetics taking creatine had reduced their HbA1c score significantly compared to the placebo group. Exercise alone wasn't able to make a difference, but creatine was able to improve glycemic control in just 3 months. An animal study in the Journal of Nutrition was able to demonstrate that creatine is also able to protect against fatty liver disease. Rats were given either a control, a high-fat diet, or a high-fat diet with creatine. In just 3 weeks, the high-fat diet increased total liver fat concentrations and made liver health markers worse. The rats taking creatine were protected from fatty liver disease, and all blood markers were as good if not better than the control group. Now that we've gone over the research and benefits, let's talk about dosing for each specific purpose. For a loading phase to rapidly increase creatine levels in the body, take 20 grams daily for 2 weeks. You can split the dosage in 2 and remember to drink plenty of water. For maintenance, take 5 to 10 grams daily. On training days, take it post-workout with carbohydrates for better absorption. Take creatine with either carbs or protein in order to raise insulin for uptake into the muscles. While creatine is very safe and well tolerated, some people might experience some gastric discomfort when they begin taking it. So start with a small dose to see how you react. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.